There's a version of Meghan Markle the public never really met. Not the one in royal portraits or on the cover of Vanity Fair. I'm talking about the version that doesn't fit into the fairy tale, the one that wasn't crafted by Palace, PR or polished by Netflix producers. The version you'd hear about from insiders in Hollywood or whispers from Toronto social circles. And if you ask the people who knew her before the tiaras and titles, they'll tell you straight, Meghan didn't stumble into royalty, she planned her way there. Now look, there's ambition. And then there's what Meghan had. A kind of laser-focused determination that made every move feel calculated, and that's not always a bad thing. But when you start connecting the dots, it becomes clear that Meghan wasn't just chasing fame. She was chasing access. The right rooms, the right people, the right image. I was such a fraud. She understood early on that fame wasn't just about talent. It was about connections. And nobody played that game harder than her. Let's rewind to her pre-Suits life. She was grinding, sure. Auditions, bit roles, game show gigs. But behind the scenes, people say she was already thinking 10 steps ahead. Yacht parties in Europe? She was there, not as someone's plus one, but as part of the scene. Those ultra-exclusive gatherings where the guest list isn't about who you are, but what kind of leverage you offer. Think less Hollywood glam, more elite transactions behind tinted windows. And Meghan, she knew exactly how to navigate that world. By the time she landed Suits, she wasn't just some actress from LA. She was someone who had already climbed a few ladders and burned a few bridges on the way up. Her marriage to Hollywood producer Trevor Engelson is a perfect example. He helped her, supported her. And then once Suits gave her enough spotlight, she was out. No dramatic argument, no emotional fallout. She literally mailed him the wedding rings and walked away, like a transaction was done, and the next deal was calling. And she kept moving like that. Quietly, surgically, people close to her started noticing a pattern. If you couldn't offer her anything of value, she'd vanish. Friends, family, even colleagues on set. She was polite, always, but distant. Strategic. It wasn't about being liked. It was about being seen with the right people in the right way. Every event, every photo op, every social media post had a purpose. Nothing was random. But where it gets really interesting is her obsession with the royals. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment romance. Meghan had reportedly been fascinated with the British monarchy long before Harry was even a possibility. Childhood friends say she used to talk about marrying someone royal, not in a girly fantasy way. In a matter-of-fact, that's my goal kind of way. She read books about Princess Diana, practiced British accents, studied how royal women behaved in public. It wasn't dreaming. It was research. And when the opportunity came to meet Prince Harry, she didn't fumble it. She was ready. Mutual friends set up a meeting. And from that point on, Meghan switched gears. Fast. Social media wiped. Old photos disappeared. A new image began forming, the humanitarian, the feminist, the royal in waiting. She didn't just fall into the role. She built it, layer by layer. It wasn't about love. It was about legacy, a chance to cement herself in history, not just Hollywood. And for a while it worked. But the truth always has a way of catching up. And the carefully built mask? It doesn't always stay on. Behind palace walls, things didn't unfold the way Meghan imagined. On paper, she had it all. The title, the castle, the global platform. But inside the royal machine, control wasn't hers. And for someone used to managing every detail of her image, that was a problem. Staff started noticing the cracks early, demands came fast, expectations were high. And her obsession with reputation was next level. According to insiders, it wasn't uncommon for her to request rewrites to press statements, insist on wardrobe overhauls last minute, or challenge protocols meant to keep things running smoothly. It didn't take long before tension built. Royal aides began quitting in droves.
And
whispers about Meghan being difficult to work with leaked into the press. Some called her a perfectionist. Others called her a bully. Whatever you label it. The environment around her became unstable. One former staffer allegedly described it as walking on eggshells daily. not because of cruelty, but because of the constant pressure to protect and elevate her brand. That's what. It always came back to the brand. Meghan Inc., while headlines painted her as a victim of outdated tradition, those closer to the chaos saw a different picture. They saw a woman who entered the most conservative institution in the world and immediately tried to flip the script, changing speech formats, reimagining events, pulling rank. Meghan wasn't adapting. She was rewriting, but the palace doesn't bend. It absorbs, or rejects. And Meghan. She was never built to be absorbed. Still, she wasn't going to exit quietly. The Oprah interview wasn't a last-minute decision. It was calculated. Curated, even. From the wardrobe to the lighting, everything was designed to tell a story of pain, resilience, and betrayal. And it worked. For a time, the public rallied behind her, but those who knew how she moved, those who remembered the Trevor split, the yacht whispers, the ghosted friends, they weren't surprised. They saw the pattern, speak out, grab the narrative, monetize the fallout. And monetize she did. Deals rolled in fast. Netflix, Spotify, a children's book, speaking engagements. Every tear on camera turned into a check, and there's no shame in making money, let's be real. But for someone who claimed to want privacy, the rollout was loud. And that's where the skepticism started to creep in. People noticed the contradictions. The couple left for peace, but signed on for a reality show. They criticized the press, but hired their own PR army. They said they were done with royalty, but clung to their titles. Meghan's past started to resurface again, this time with more intensity. Old acquaintances spoke out. Former friends shared how they were cut off once they were no longer useful. And then came the family drama. Her father, Thomas Markle, once her biggest supporter, was now public enemy number one, not because he betrayed her, but because he no longer fit the story. Same with her half-siblings. Same with the relatives who once paid her bills or helped her get started. Erased, not just ignored. Erased. Social. Media told a story she wanted the world to believe. Empowerment, grace, activism, but behind the curated filters and feminist speeches was a trail of people left confused, hurt, or discarded. And now the media is catching up. The narrative Meghan controlled for so long is slipping. The glow is fading. Critics are louder, allies are fewer. And the empire she tried to build after the palace is showing cracks too. Because when your whole image is built on control, losing it means losing everything. Meghan's next move was a rebrand. Again, with royal ties no longer enough to guarantee relevance. She leaned into lifestyle. Soft focus videos, product teases, whispered rumors of beauty lines, and that blog reboot everyone knew was coming. It wasn't just about staying visible anymore. It was about reclaiming control after a string of public misfires. The Spotify deal had fizzled. The podcast didn't leave the cultural dent she promised. Netflix seemed lukewarm. So she pivoted, again. But this time the charm wasn't landing the same. Hollywood isn't royal territory. People there remember. They don't forget who you stepped over or how you got into the room. Meghan had pulled off the impossible once. Sure, actress turned duchess. But the industry she left behind wasn't sitting around waiting for her return. And worse, her name didn't carry the same glow it once did. She wasn't seen as an icon. She was seen as unpredictable, polarizing, and in some cases exhausting. One insider put it bluntly. Meanwhile, her inner circle kept shrinking. The glow-up crew, the powerful connections that once rushed to her defense, quiet now. Some drifted. Others distanced themselves, not because of one big scandal, but because of the pattern. The same pattern that had followed her from LA to London and now to Montecito. Charm, ascend, disconnect. People didn't want to be part of another act. Not when the cameras kept rolling. Not when every relationship risked becoming a PR move. Then, there's Harry, once the fiercely protective husband ready to burn bridges for her. His silences started speaking louder. Public appearances have become awkward, his body language stiff, uncomfortable, almost lost at times. Rumors swirl about tension behind the scenes, about regrets. About a man caught between the woman he loves and the legacy he left behind. Some say he's grappling with isolation. Others whisper that he's starting to see what the rest of the world is beginning to admit. Because Meghan's story, when stripped of the Polish, isn't just about love or ambition or resilience. It's about strategy. Every step carefully plotted. Every headline calculated. Every emotion presented with purpose. And when people start to recognize that, really see it, the magic wears off. The sympathy turns to skepticism. The admiration fades into analysis. Who benefited? Who got left behind? And who was telling the truth? Even now, with new business ventures teased and another PR cycle brewing, the questions haven't gone away. They've only grown. The pregnancy rumors, the fractured family ties, the ghosted friends, the whirlwind romance that never quite added up. And the biggest one of all, who is Meghan? The clicks are still coming, sure, but the tone has shifted. It's less awe, more suspicion. Less celebration, more critique. And for someone who spent years mastering the art of image, that's the one thing she can't afford: doubt. Meghan wanted more than fame. She wanted legacy. But legacy isn't built on brand deals or controlled interview. It's built on truth, consistency, and how you treat the people who aren't useful anymore. And if the past keeps resurfacing, if the whispers become louder than the speeches, that legacy doesn't stand tall, it crumbles. Because no matter how many times you change your name, your look, your story, the past has a habit of showing up. And when it does, it doesn't care about crowns or contracts. It just wants to be heard. And this time, people are finally listening.